Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Arts Plus Change virtual conference hosted by University of Rochester's Institute for the Performing Arts in partnership with the Office of Equity and Inclusion, the Paul J. Burgett Intercultural Center, 540 West Main, Create a Space Now, Eastman Institute for Music Leadership, and the Rochester Fringe Festival. My name is Missy Full-Smith. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your conference host for this session with Alexia Jones. And we would like to acknowledge with respect the Seneca Nation, known as the Great Hill People and keepers of the Western Door of the Haudenosaunee. We take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers on whose ancestral lands the University of Rochester currently resides here in Rochester, New York. As we come together, we want to acknowledge the need for a commitment to constant action and attention surrounding the systemic issues that continue to impact each of us to this day. In order to enable live transcription or captions in your Zoom view, please click on the More section at the bottom to view captions or live transcript. And that box can also be dragged to another location on your screen if you need that. We are recording today's session, so please note that your spoken, written comments and image may be included as well as transcript. So if you would like to protect your privacy, we invite you to rename your Zoom with just your first name and your pronouns if you feel comfortable. Breakout rooms will not be recorded. Because we have back-to-back sessions, the session will end promptly at its end time, and we encourage presenters and participants to share contact information and via the chat to foster continued discussion and connection if you desire. And if you're a social media user and you want to talk about the conference, please use hashtag ArtsChange25 if you feel inspired and want to share something. So thank you for joining us today, and I am now honored to welcome back to Arts Plus Change Alexia Jones, who is presenting Art Plus Recovery Equals Freedom.
Thank you, Missy. Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. I am so excited to be able to share with you today Art Plus Recovery Equals Freedom. I'm going to share my screen. Um, Wait a minute. I apologize. Let me try that one more time. I apologize.
No rush.
Neat. Here we go. Again, my name is Alexia Jones. I am a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me, it has been 29 years since I had a need or desire to use any mind-altering substances. It also means that I've been living well for about 16 years, free from PTSD, the symptoms of PTSD, and I've come to learn how to live well. I am the founder and director of Rise. And at Rise, we have found a new paradigm. We sing through our hardest times, we dance to celebrate our recovery, and we take up our paintbrushes to paint our stories through every color of the rainbow. We are the best and the worst of them all. We have come to find that through creativity, we can rewrite our narrative, we can create community, a sense of belonging, and maintain our wellness by wrapping around our talents and our gifts. Rise is a safe space, a brave space for healing, rewriting our narratives through self-expression, and using art to foster community and connection. And we are located on the west end of Atlanta, Georgia, and in a loft that it's a big one-bedroom loft with dance and drumming and writing and every kind of art modality you could possibly think of. And so I'm so excited to be able to bring our work to this space. And the hope is that at the end of this presentation that you will know in your heart that you are, in fact, an agent of change. Breathe deeply and release. Another deep breath in and release. You want me to move to? And if you would, just imagine yourself as a tree in this forest. What kind of tree would you be? Would you be an oak tree? Would you be a weeping willow? Would you be a red tree? Would you be a sequoia tree? Would you be a big, tall pine tree? What kind of tree would you be? And I would like to invite you to just imagine your roots going down beneath the earthen floor. And underneath this earthen floor, there you see and feel the roots of others and connecting, and what they call the wood network. And as your roots connect with my roots and my roots connect with your roots, imagine with me what we call mycelium. And through this mycelium, we are able to share our greatest gifts. Would your gift be a listening ear? Would your gift be nutrients from the sun, a hug, a cold glass of water for someone who is thirsty? It's through this network within the roots that this mycelium transports whatever tree in our forest needs support. And through this mycelium, this tree can be strengthened, encouraged, and built back up. Just imagine with me as we come back into this Zoom space. And I would like for you to think about what it is that you would bring to this network of mycelium that we would now call our community. Would you bring love? Would you bring empathy? Would you bring visual arts, dance? What would you bring? The ability to listen. Take a deep breath in and release. Another deep breath in and release. At this time, I would like for us to go into our dyads. And if you would have, you will have about, I think I said 4 minutes, where each person in the dyad will have an opportunity to share exactly what would you bring to our forest through your roots, knowing that the roots is a sum total of all of our experiences, all of our lived experiences that could possibly help someone else. So at this time, we'll go into our dyads. Well, welcome back, everybody. And just wanted to give you an opportunity to just share what you heard, what you felt, what you would share, what was shared with you.
We've got two more people. The one breakout room still hasn't closed.
Oh, okay.
They will be joining us. If you wait for them, just
You
Okay.
can manually close them, I think, too.
Okay.
there they are. Yeah, they just
Okay, I can see everybody now. That's great. So share with me, just raise your hand or just share what it is you heard and what it is you had would love to have the opportunity to share with the community.
I just shared that in my group, Heather was saying that she would bring um, empathy in the sense of really being a listener that tries to see the positive side that is going to get someone through something, to be with them. I felt the image that came up, Heather, I didn't even say this, is just like a hand holder. That's what the image that came to me when you said that. So I was grateful to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Miriam?
Oh, for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
um, what I had said was I believe I bring like the ability to connect and
Mm-hmm.
have like empathy and authentic conversation. I feel like I come alive when I'm connecting with somebody and just having an understanding and a relationship.
Absolutely. Connection is very important, and understanding how we connect is even more important because connection has to be intentional. Anybody else?
I would share an eagerness and enthusiasm for being part of this community, and also dance. I would share dance.
Dance is always good. Well, thank you everyone for taking that walk with me through the forest and taking a moment to connect. One of the things that I can honestly say about a recovery community organization is that we make it our business to connect with one another, creating a community that has a sense of belonging, creating a community that is non-judgmental, a space where people can feel brave and safe at the same time. And there's no way that you can do that without connection. Let's see. Okay. So at RISE, everyone wants to know what the 2 stands for. And it's because we have 2 R's. We embrace our recovery and we are restored. We are inspired, we are supported, and we know how to support. We are empowered and we are evolving. And so therefore we rise. We're going to talk a little bit more about the components of RISE in creating our recovery community organization through creativity. When we embrace our recovery, we're talking about acceptance. We're talking about honoring, cultivating, transparency, and authenticity. In other words, we come to a space where we can embrace every part of who we are. The good, the not so good, the past, the present, and the future. Honoring who we are, honoring those that are in our community, cultivating relationships that will support us, being able to be transparent, thus leading us into a place of authenticity. And so as we embrace our recovery, we dig deep, we go wide, we reach higher, and we step outside of the box of stigma. For us, for me, I can speak for myself. For me as a person in recovery, I had to step outside of this box of stigma and embrace every part of who I am. And when I look back over my life now, I say to myself, I would not be who I am today had I not been all through what I've been through. And so I've been able to do that with accepting, with honoring, with cultivating, by being transparent and being my authentic self. So now I would like for you to just open your arms wide. And I would like for you to just wrap your arms around yourself and feel that embrace. And this is just a gesture that demonstrates what that means when we say embrace. In a society where there's body shaming, in a society where sometimes we feel like we have to be perfect, within our own hearts, we have to embrace who we are, accept who we are, honor who we are. Take a moment to do that. Now, I would like for you to place your hands over your heart and just embrace your heart. This heart has carried you through a lot of things. It has a story to tell. With every moment, with every day, with every night, this heart beats for you, sustains you. So embracing our recovery, we have to embrace our own hearts. Some days we have to embrace how we feel, how we don't feel. We have to honor how we feel. Cultivate those feelings. Have space where we can be transparent with our feelings. And have a space that we can be authentic in the way we feel. Take a deep breath in as you embrace your heart. Now, I would like for you to put your hands on your thoughts, not necessarily your head, but your thoughts. And this is a place where we can hold positive or negative thoughts, but whatever those thoughts are, we have to embrace them and come into a place of acceptance and honoring and cultivating, becoming transparent and being authentic. Some of these thoughts we keep, some of these thoughts we change, some of these thoughts we nurture. Take a deep breath in and release it. And then one more time, opening up your arms and embracing your whole self one more time. So when we say we embrace our recovery, we embrace the whole of who we are. One more deep breath and release. The next R is we are restored, picking up our broken pieces, creating a beautiful sense of self from brokenness to wellness. Humpty Dumpty serves as a powerful metaphor for the journey of recovery, moving from brokenness to wellness. Just like his story, recovery reminds us that even when life feels shattered, with support, resilience, and community, we can rebuild and transform into something stronger and more beautiful than before. You know the nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again, but recovery can. And so restoration for us is taking the broken pieces and creating another piece that is just as beautiful or even more beautiful than before. One of the things that we do at Rise is the mosaic art, where we take the broken pieces of glass and create art. And in those pieces, imagining how we can rewrite our narratives, imagining how we can bring ourselves into a new place of wholeness. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes cultivating. It takes acceptance. It takes community. And sometimes it's hard for us to be able to even see the brokenness. So in community, we have reflection within our peers who have the same lived experience. We see a reflection of ourselves that can be reflected back. Thus going from brokenness to wholeness. So when I say peer, in the recovery community, peer support is when we are connecting to one another in mutual relationships with the same lived experience. So peer support is a place and a space where there's a listening ear, where there's empathy, where there's connection, where there is accountability, where there's another person sitting across from me saying, you know what? I've been there. I lived that. I've been broken too. Or I am broken. Let us together pick up the broken pieces together so that we can come into a place of wholeness. Can anybody relate to what I just said? Does that resonate with anyone? Let's talk about that. Let me just say that as creatives, you never know who's coming in the room. You never know. For me, in my personal experience as a dancer, I dance with a company here in Atlanta called Moving in the Spirit. And in the height of my addiction, at the low part of my addiction, I got pregnant. But I was still dancing with this dance company. I knew that once I got to the rehearsal, I was going to be received with a whole lot of love. No one knew what was going on with me. I did. The dance was a place and a space where I found community and a sense of belonging. And I knew that if I didn't show up, guess what? They were going to come find me. So in places of creativity, dancers, artists, there is space for people to be well, to be nurtured, to have that sense of belonging and connection that they may not find anywhere else. And I believe that as creators, we have to make sure that we keep that in the forefronts of our heart, that even when we're doing this work, that we're providing a safe place for people to be well. Can you talk back to me? Can anybody relate to that?
For sure. I didn't want to take too much time, but with no one else speaking, I will speak. I teach here at University of Rochester, and last semester, one of my students was making an installation art piece, and he set up like a kitchen table or a dining room table with two chairs and plates and markers. And he asked people to write things on the plates that they wanted to let go of or that they regretted or things like that. And then after people did that, he had a performance where he broke all the plates and then he put all the broken pieces into a bowl. And then just as you described, it created a new kind of beautiful piece of art with these broken pieces of china and words on them. And it just seems so similar to what you're talking about. And it was such a beautiful visual. So I just wanted to share that.
Oh, Missy, thank you for sharing that. That is a beautiful example, a beautiful picture of how community can come together and support one another in being well. Creativity gives us a place and a space for that. Even as artists, as we create and develop our choreography, has anyone had an opportunity to create pieces that ultimately you were finding your healing within it?
I can go with that. Hi, I'm Heather, and I
Yeah.
would say I teach also at University of Rochester, and two colleagues and I were teaching in an immigration detention center. So every Friday we would be there and teach an art workshop. And we were so surprised, like as it was going, realizing it was like the community and it didn't matter what we were making. And you can see like the postures would change everything from the hallway to when they walk into the library, like everything changed. And it was probably 3/4 of the way through where we're driving back. And my two colleagues and I are like, wait a second, we feel so much better after we leave here. And the guys give so much to us, and we didn't go into the project thinking that it would be healing for us, but we learned that as the series continued. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. And that's a perfect example of as an artist going into a space, keeping in the forefront of our hearts that someone just might need this time of creativity to heal. Anyone else?
I could.
Yes.
I do not think of myself as an artist in any way, although I will say this week I have been experiencing a longing to discover some creative way in which I could be an artist. But maybe the closest I come to that is that I preach in several small congregations around town, which is partly a kind of storytelling, the way I do it. And especially in the pandemic, I found that often, okay, this is going to sound completely goofy, but in my toughest times, I preach myself my own sermons.
Yes, absolutely.
Which are not things that I knew that I thought before I put them together, thinking of the community that I was going into and what they might need to hear or what they might want to hear. But then somehow afterwards, it so often turns out also to be what I need to hear.
That's right. That's right. So that's the give and take. That's being an opportunity to do what we call peer support, right? Where you're giving, but you're also getting, right? A mutual connection. Yeah, that's a very good example.
Thank you.
I
Right.
feel inspired to share something, just as a receiver, let's say. Great turmoil in my country of Serbia and at the moment with student protests. Not gonna get into the whole thing, but I remember just during one of the protests, art students from both the musical academy and the arts department, etc., they took such care. Like all the frustration was put into these statues that they made, something that was response to the government's
Yes.
whatever nastiness, let's put it that way. And as you were talking all about this, I just remembered feeling like seeing these, I don't know, this big sandwich, which was a symbol of corruption, just like kind of being brought by the masses of students, like how much they put into it, all that. And it just brought me so much hope. They've been bringing me, the students have been bringing me so much hope that I haven't felt in a very long time. And all of this artistic expression that comes on not only from the art students. By the way, they're blocking the universities for months now. They've been living on universities, the students, blocking the. So they've been creating a community, and that has spilt over like all of us. And I'm not getting the heebie-jeebies, but it's beautiful because it's perfect response to all that is dark and like and negative. Not all dark is negative, but I mean like the negative stuff. And it's so much love.
Absolutely.
Just
Thank
like
you
that
for
way
sharing.
of like, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That is another good way of sharing creativity is how am I going to respond to this? How am I going to respond? Because there is a part of the brain that has no words. And sometimes words cannot get to the root of a thing, right? But creativity has sound, has color. Well, it feels like this. It sounds like this. It smells like this. So to be able to have a space and a place to respond outside the box is very healing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. All right.
Alexia,
Yes.
so if I may for a second, for me,
Yes.
part of it is there's so much vulnerability in creating and sharing and pulling back the layers.
Yes.
And being in that community with those roots around me that you described earlier, of that the connectivity, I've learned to be more open to accepting that, and being vulnerable, and vulnerable is okay. Vulnerable when I was growing up was not safe for me. So, but I need a creative outlet. Um, be, that was my first profession. I was a photographer and a producer, and I'm now in the corporate world. And if I don't feed that creative soul, I dry up.
Absolutely.
And it ain't pretty. But it's that vulnerability and taking that step, and that hope as well. The hope that it's going to be okay, and then to trust in others and myself.
That's good. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Jean. That word vulnerability is a real word. And it's something to take into consideration when we want people to create, take into consideration that this might be a vulnerable thing for a person to do. So initially it may not be easy. But as you watch people grow through the creativity, you'll see that they become more vulnerable. And so therefore we go back to that word cultivating, nurturing, accepting, embracing. Thank you for sharing that. So it's from broken to wholeness, share your story through movement. So I want to talk about we are inspired. And I think that we just talked about how we feel after we have these moments of creativity. And we are inspired brings me to the place of what happens in the brain when we connect to creativity. And there are three hormones that are released in the brain. Oxytocin, which is released and brings a sense of inspiration. And it comes from collaborating. When you have a group of people that are collaborating and having a sense of belonging, this hormone is released. And so everyone is feeling this beautiful feeling of connection and inspiration. Endorphins and unlocking the joy and the flow. You usually get your endorphins released when you're exercising or when you're dancing, which makes you feel a whole lot better. Dopamine is the feeling of good, the neurotransmitter that releases that good feeling. And I remember when I first went into recovery, I had stopped dancing because I connected dancing with my addiction. And so I remember one night I couldn't take it anymore. I was in a homeless situation and my baby was still in a carrier, and I was in a room with no furniture, and I just started dancing. I started dancing. I started weeping. I started dancing. I weep, dance, laugh. And when it was all over, I felt this joy that I couldn't have got any other way. And at that time in 1994, 1995, I had no idea that trauma lived in the body. I had never heard of that book. I didn't know anything about that. But I knew that somehow dance was connected to me feeling better. And then I started seeking after that feeling. And my reward system, which is the hormone that is the feel good hormone, began to become connected to dance as opposed to substances. And I wanted to dance more. And the more I danced, the better I felt. And as a result of me dancing, my sisters in recovery, they wanted to dance. So we would meet every Saturday and we would dance and we would cry and we would laugh and we would leave from that place feeling like a whole brand new woman. And my life changed. And my brain changed. And my narrative changed. And so creativity is connected to inspiration, collaboration, joy, feeling good. It's also connected to strengthening our cognitive skills. When you have folks that have been through trauma, cognitively, they may have suffered. And so putting the cognitive along with the music, along with the emotions, along with the color, continues to heal our brain, continues to get us to a place of wellness. So it's absolutely important for us to be creative. It's absolutely important for us to bring creativity in every space that we can find. It is just like the body needs to exercise, the brain needs to exercise emotionally. The heart needs to exercise emotionally, not just physically. And so therefore we are inspired to be motivated to do more, to be motivated to move outside the box, to be motivated to try different things, to be motivated to dig deeper into who we are. Anybody feeling inspired? I can't see everybody right now, but I'll come back. I'll come back. Hope you're feeling inspired right now.
Yes, feeling super inspired. And that's why I was just thinking about what you were saying and Jean about joy and Jean was saying about vulnerability. Just a couple sentences, the end of the Immigration Detention Center story is the last time Trump was elected, we almost didn't go because we couldn't serve the guys. Like we didn't have any energy to give to the guys. Like we were just spent. We had nothing. We're like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just show up. We'll fake it. We got there and they had all made gifts for us. So one sang, one wrote a poem, one made a drawing like with what they had. And that's what like, oh, we're a community. We're not just giving, like they're now giving to us. So thank you. Sorry to extend my story, but
No.
that's probably the best part. And we left on like a high. We're like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. And they knew that what you were bringing to them was so valuable that they wanted to give you a gift and wanted you to know how valuable you were to their community. And so in the times that we're in, and we know we're in some tumultuous times, creativity is where we need to land, whether it's through our photography, whether it's through showing up. And I'm so glad you didn't give up. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you didn't give up. Sarah said, yes, I think artists, students, people find each other in artistic spaces to feel seen and known and loved. I have found myself drawn to stories I need to explore in the world myself. And Jean, I love that, feeding and supporting each other, allowing ourselves to not get in the way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank y'all for sharing. So the next thing that we say is we support and we know how to support. So that's, again, peer support, sharing our experiences, mutual relationships, a space to be brave and safe, accountability, collaboration, shared power, empathy, compassion, empowerment. It is so easy to be creative, y'all. All you need to be creative is nothing. You don't need a bunch of money. You don't need a bunch of anything. All you need is a blank canvas and hope. That's it. And not even hope. You can get there with a blank canvas. You can get there through a song. You can get there with a pen in hand. You can get there so many different avenues to creativity. This picture is a picture of a men's group in our space. And these men were being inspired by a gentleman who has an amazing story here in Georgia. And he does peer support in the prisons. He's a forensic peer. And these are our peers, and he is inspiring them with his story, which is very, very powerful. So we support and we know how to support. I want to share this video with you, and it is a illustration of what support is and what it looks like. These three ladies are part of Rise, and they created this piece to illustrate peer support, and their story behind this dance is how they had to support one another in creating this piece. When they came out on the other side of this choreography, they came out knowing how to support, be supported. I'm going to share this with you.
Where is my prince? Lost my comfort, more time to think. Broken and bruised, tell me where I am. Feel so unused, help me find your hand. I guess the sun still waits here. I could hold it up, oh, here. Carry me home. Bear my weight on your shoulders. Carry me home. Nothing else matters. Carry me home. Bear my weight on your shoulders. Carry me home and don't let go. Said I don't ever say things so you can be. Yet I waited all for your seeing.
Now this border seems to have the place down and leave the head. And now I feel like I've become your pain. You thought it won't be said. Got to hold it up for him. Carry and my weight on your shoulders. Oh, carry me home. Nothing else matters. Carry me home. Let my weight on your shoulders. Carry me home and don't let go. Darling, I'm sorry I tried. I gotta hold it up for him.
So I love that particular piece we just saw, and just listening to them talk about some of the moments that they had during their rehearsal. And one of the moments that they talked about was when they almost dropped Brianna, who is my daughter, the one with the short hair. And Kayla said, the one that was holding her up by her shoulder, said, I said to myself, I'm not going to drop her. If I have to fall under her, I won't allow her to hit the floor. And oh my goodness, that really lifted my heart, because they had really understood the power of support. And my daughter had come to understand the power of being supported. So a lot of times we may not just be able to talk about a thing, but if we create around it, we come to understand it fully. It's nothing like having an experience. I always say, if I can have a horrible traumatic experience and it changed the whole course of my life, what would happen if I have an amazing, wonderful moment in my life? Can that not change the course of my life as well? And I find that in spaces of wellness, when we use creativity, we can change our lives. We can change our lives from going from the way we don't want it to go to a place that we want it to go. And so the next word that we have in our matrix is we are empowered. In other words, our self-confidence is lifted. We have autonomy to make informed decisions. Our personal growth accelerates when we're provided with the materials to create and opportunities to share. And so our latest project is called The Comfort of Recovery. It is a quilt that you see here in this picture, that a community of 100 people, 200 hands, we say 100 hands in the film, but in the video, but it's 100 people with 2 hands, right? And so what I wanted to know is, if when we bring everybody together and wrap everybody around a collective piece of creativity, what would happen? And so what I find when it comes down to addiction and stigma and the way people think about it, it puts us in these separate silos where we don't even want to communicate. But when we wrapped it around creating this quilt, we found that we created a whole new community in collaboration with the Emery Carlos Museum. We connected the two communities along with other communities inside of our West Side community and our greater recovery community. And we brought people together that wouldn't ordinarily come in one room, but love to sew. And as a result of that, we found that addiction doesn't care who it touches. Doesn't care your ethnicity, your race, your how much money you make, the job you go to. It doesn't matter. But this epidemic has taken over, and it's crossed all boundaries. But with creativity, it brought us all together. And so I want to share with you a video that was filmed by our very own Jean Oshelsky, who is with us today. And it is
Alexia, I'm going to cue it up.
Oh, you're gonna cue it up. Okay.
If I can have
Yep. Okay, Jean is
I didn't know I was joining today, y'all.
but she is the mastermind behind the film of Comfort of Recovery that is now touring the state of Georgia. It's gone through 5 different libraries, and it's been an interesting tour. There are some libraries where people, do you have the host?
Hang on.
Milena, can you
You
help us?
should be able to share.
Okay. We go to a library that's packed and people are standing around the quilt, but when we ask them to come into a room to sit down and actually talk about the subject matter, no one wants to come in the room. Why? Because so much stigma is around it, but they'll wrap around that quilt. And so the quilt has become a banner of hope. It has become a space and a place where people can connect with it, because most grandmothers have made a quilt. Most
Yeah,
families
I'm sorry, and it's not going to let me share unless I restart. So
do.
go ahead. I was just trying to keep it out of in sync.
Right.
I can, if you want me to come join in a second.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
So while we're waiting on Jean to come back, anybody have anything they want to share? Has anyone been touched by anything? Want to give some feedback? Are your wheels turning?
I just wanted to say, when you were talking about supporting and knowing how to support, I noticed like there's a lot of women on today, and I think I think sometimes as women, there's so much, well, I'll speak for myself and the people that I know. It seems a lot of times we end up supporting and supporting and supporting. And one of the really amazing things I found about peer support is what you mentioned earlier, where there's that mutuality. And, I almost felt guilty because I was getting so much back, as far as, the connection and the relationship and the satisfaction. And but it was vice versa. So it was really amazing.
Thank you, Miriam. Miriam is also a part of our community. She's our program director at Rise.
Drug addiction does not know race, age, religion. So we as a community have to come together and join arms and continue to lift up awareness, share the hope. We can recover. So Rise, we always say that we're not on the fringes of the community. We are the community. And this particular project that we're working on now is the Comfort of Recovery, which is a quilt that has been put together by our community. And so this quilt has given us the opportunity to not only talk about that, but illustrate and demonstrate the power of connection. Every stitch, every square, represents for us a moment in time where we raised awareness, where we shared our stories of recovery, and giving family members an opportunity to be in our community so that they can give back and they can be comforted. Hence, the comfort of recovery. The Carlos Museum and Rise Together has created a new community. The most beautiful part of our collaboration and connection is being affirmed by such an amazing museum, a collective of people who know art.
From the Carlos's point of view, we're thrilled to be part of this. I can remember the first time we met. I just stumbled in here because I saw the sign, Rise Recovery. I walked in, you welcomed me. You gave me a hug. You told me about what you do. And from that moment, I knew the Carlos needs to work with Rise because the work that you do is authentic, it's genuine, it's game-changing, it's life-changing. It's truly meaningful.
We are certainly impacted because we have had 100 hands on this quilt. We have had conversations with people we would not have ordinarily had conversations with. And now we get an opportunity to go into the Carlos and share this with the academic world. And for that, we are so grateful. My hope is that as it hangs at the Capitol and various hospitals and even in the medical school, that upcoming doctors and nurses and psychologists, they feel the love, the passion, the hope that we discussed as we were putting each square together.
Part of their diagnosis, part of the prescriptions that they might actually be putting forward to patients may actually be part of a community.
Absolutely.
Do something creative. But most important of all, tell your story.
That's right.
I was in 3 wars, 2 conflicts. And during that time, I developed PTSD, which led me to Rise for Recovery. The community and everyone here welcomed me and made me feel safe. I learned to trust myself a little bit more, to believe in myself. Some of my Air Force sisters, they flew down here to help with the quilt.
I'm a retired correctional officer, and doing the quilts, to me, it's just so calming. So it really helps me out a whole lot.
My friend Rhonda asked me if I could help. I came in to show the ladies how to sew by hand and to give instructions in putting together a quilt. So we decided to put the names of everybody that had something to do with it and the roots. Then they go up through the larger part of the tree through Rise. And then at the top, the branches bear leaves that describes the empowerment or the growth, the development that different people who have come through Rise have received as a result of what Rise offers. It's empowering, definitely empowering.
It's not just 100 hands.
Yes.
It's 100 hands that have been changed through this experience. That match between recovery and creativity, that's one of the secret recipes.
It is.
Now it's our chance to make it not secret.
Ah, that's
good. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. I need to share again, I think. As we come to the end of the presentation, are you able to see my screen?
No.
No, okay. As we come to the end of the presentation, the last word that we want to look at is evolving. Jean, I'm not able to share. Is evolving, and evolving gives us an opportunity to do inventory, take inventory of ourselves, take inventory of our growth, and think about where we've been, think about where we are, and think about where we're going. And so the word evolve for us looks like a spiraling staircase. It looks like a hot air balloon being inflated and then floating into the air. You know, it looks like thinking about our accomplishments and taking note of our progress and celebrating our progress and our accomplishments, which is so, 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 so very important to our growth. Just like it was so important, Jean, when you said they came and they gave you gifts when you thought you didn't even want to go in to do the community creativity with the gentleman you were working with. But when they gave you the gifts, it gave you an idea of what the impact you were making, how you were helping people grow and stay well. So it's really important that we take inventory and see how we are evolving and take note of that and never take it for granted. Celebrate the evolution of the way you're growing and the way the community is growing as a result of your creativity. Does anyone have anything they want to say or share? I would love to hear it.
I would say that I'm just so thankful to have experienced Rise, to have learned so much about art in ways that I never really thought of it. I have an open mind to art now, and I see, even though I was an artist, before I came to Rise, it's being at Rise and healing with Rise that shows me art in all the little things in life. I feel like even a person that feels like they don't have any creative bones in their body, they create art. They've been creating art their whole life because, it's the culinary experience, culinary art, it's the painting, it's even speaking, the words, the feelings, the way we move, all of that is art. And through Rise, I'm able to recover out loud while still learning. So I'm very thankful for that.
And thank you, Krista. Thank you for showing up today. Krista is she's a songstress, a writer, entrepreneur, and I have watched her evolve over the last 2 years in such a beautiful, beautiful way, just amazing way. So I wanted to leave with you with my final thoughts, and hopefully that you can share yours as well. But change is not easy, but it is inevitable. I am the evidence of that. I'm not what I used to be because of the opportunities that I've had to explore through new creative experiences. Art has been the bridge between then and now. It's evident when I examine the pivotal art eras that document the evolution of aha moments that change our thinking and change our paradigms. May we be agents of change. May we be the change we want to see in the world. May we, as creators, provide space for change to occur, as we are not afraid of change because we are agents of change. I want to leave you with that thought, that you, as a creative, you are an agent of change. Just because you showed up, you are an agent of change. Changing someone's thought process, changing someone from going from the right direction into the wrong direction into the right direction for them. Changing the way people feel about themselves. And like I said in my final thoughts, change is not easy, but it's inevitable. And certainly last but not least, let's stay in touch. You can email us here at Alexia at risetheater.org. Our website is www.risetheater.org. You can check us out on Facebook or Instagram. And remember, addiction hurts, art and recovery heals. So just want to say thank you so much for listening and choosing to come to this session today. If you have any final thoughts, I would love to hear them. If we have time.
We've got a couple of more minutes. No worries. I want to thank you. It's something I really needed to hear this week and just like share and all of this. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, me too. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. This has been amazing. Your work is amazing. You're amazing. And thank you for bringing all of that love and energy here.
Thank you. What are you taking away with you? What is the one thing you're taking away?
Courage.
Courage, yes. Yes. And when the young lady was sharing, Jean was sharing about she didn't want to show up. Connection is everything. Yes, and yes. When she was sharing about how she didn't even want to go, but she showed up anyway. And when she did, they were waiting on her. Jean Oshelsky says, softness. Thank you for that. All right. Well, we embrace our recovery. We are restored. We are inspired. We are inspiration. Yeah. We are supported and we know how to support. We are empowered and we are evolving. And I would like to invite you all to rise. Thank you.